Hello friends. Today we are here to start the second chapter, second part, Kings, Farmers and Towns. Hope you must have gone with the first part. So we'll just have a short revision first. We had to talk about Princip and Piyadasi, the earliest states, the 16 Mahajanpadas. The first among the 16 that was Magadha, the earlier empire, finding about the Mauryas, the administrating the empires, how the empire was important, then chiefs and kings in the south, and the divine king. They felt that they were the god over there. So this was till now what we had gone through. Now we'll start with the second topic, the second part, that is the changing countryside. Now here we'll talk about how the king used to have the popular perceptions. Like king frequently tried to fill their coffers by demanding high taxes, and it was difficult for the peasants to collect, to give them the taxes. There were different strategies also which were followed by the people. Sometimes they used to escape in the forest, sometimes they move out of their houses so that they would not be required to give the taxes. So such type of stories have come into existence, though the archaeologists could not find the appropriate system or the conditions at that time. So historians have tried to solve this problem by going through some of the stories which they have seen in the inscriptions, such as Jatakas and the Panchatantras. Jatakas means the extremely popular stories which were being written at that time, and Panchantra you must have seen on a TV also. A serial used to come earlier about the moral stories, about the moral values. The Jatakas were written in Pali around the middle of the first millennium CE. So there were some other strategies for increasing production. In this topic, we are going to see the different ways through which production must be increased. Definitely, it must be depending upon the fertile soil and the water availability, like areas near Ganga and Kaveri, use of iron, people living in the hilly regions maybe practicing hoy agriculture. We'll talk about that. So one such strategy was the shift to plough agriculture. The iron-tipped plowshare was used to turn the alluvial soil in the areas which had high rainfall. While the iron plowshare led to the growth of the agriculture productivity, its use was restricted to only some parts of the subcontinent. Cultivators in the semi-arid regions means where water is not that available, like Punjab and Rajasthan earlier, it was not available, did not adopt the system till 20th of century. In hilly tracts in the northeastern and central parts practiced hoy agriculture. There were different mode strategies adopted to increase agriculture production, like using up of irrigation facilities. It can be well or small canals or rivers. Such type of things were also been followed at that time. Now, difference in the rural society. Now, as the technology was increasing, production was also increasing. So here we can see agriculture laborers, small peasants, large landholders. So large landholders and village headmen emerged as powerful figures and had their control. Earlier Tamil literature also mentioned in some of the inscriptions given, technology increased in production, but the benefits were very uneven. Some of the areas the benefits were more, some was not, and the benefit was seen only by the large landowners or large landholders or the village headmen. So there was a big gap being seen between the rich and the poor people. Buddhist traditions referred the term Grahapati, which was often used as Pali text to designate the landless agricultural laborers and small peasants and the third category. So Grahapati means they were the honor, master or head of the household, which used to exercise control over the women, men, slaves, workers who shared the common resident in that areas. The earlier Tamil literature also mentions all the categories of people living in the village. Just I give an example like large landowners, plowmen, slaves. These differences were depending on access to land, labor, and some of the new technologies. So the people who were having good technology, they were having large amount of area to be fulfilled. Then comes land grants and new ruler elites. Now, land grants in some period of time, many inscriptions are found that records of land grants were being given to different people. Now, in common era, we find grants of land being recorded in inscriptions on stone and on copper plates also, which may be record of the transition. So, transition records were being seen in different inscriptions in front of us. One story is also been given. Prabhavati Gupta, she was the daughter of Chandragupta II. She was married to Vakatakas. She was a powerful, there was a powerful kingdom in Deccan over there. So she had a good land area. But earlier that time, women did not have access to land. But Prabhavati had, maybe because she was a queen, she has all that area because she was the queen at that time. But earlier women did not have the power to occupy the areas. The inscription also gives us an idea about rural population like Brahmins and peasants. Another topic comes about trade and towns and trade. All major towns were located along the routes of communications. Like for example, like the new cities are being given. Many of the urban centers were capital of Mahajanpadas located along the routes of communication. For example, it has been given Patliputra was on the riverine route, Ujjaini along the land routes, Puhara, it is in Tamil Nadu, was in the coastal. Then cities like Mathura was bustling centers of commercial, cultural and political activities. Urban population leads an craft person. So here we are talking about the kings and the ruling elites lived in the fortified cities, and now people started living there. It has become very difficult to conduct exhibition at most sites. So finding out the things, we need the area, but now the people have started living in these fortified cities. So now it is becoming a little bit difficult to find out or to exhibit different things. A wide range of artifacts have been recovered from here. These includes fine pottery bowls. Now artifact means an object which are been made by the human being. So for example, bowls and dishes, glossy finish known as northern black polished ware, probably which were being used by the rich people, like ornaments, tools, weapons, vessels, such type of thing. There were also rich materials also like gold, silver, copper, bronze, ivory, glass. Such type of things were also been used at that time. Then here a figure has been given of an image. This is the part of an image from Mathura. On the pedestal, it is a Prakrit inscriptions mentioned that a woman named Nagapiya, the wife of the goldsmith named Dharmaka, installed this image in the shrine. Now, on the pedestal means a platform where this inscription was been made out. But now the inscription has totally ruined. Trade in the subcontinent and beyond. Trading in the 6th century was not only written within the land, but It had moved to the boundaries of the coastal land. It crossed the mountains, terrains, oceans, and so on. So in 6th century BC, land and river route crisscrossed the subcontinent and extended to the various directions. Rulers, they also wanted to have a control over these areas from where the prominent routes were being fixed, so that they could get more and more prices or the taxes. For paddlers who probably traveled on foot, and merchants who traveled with caravans of bullock carts and packed animals. Packed animals means the animals which uh, they could load the goods and move from one place to another. There were seafarers whose ventures were risky but highly profitable. Successful merchants designate as Matsavam in Tamil and Sethis. So these were also some enormous rich people at that time. The wide range of goods were carried from one place to another: salt, grain, cloth, metal ores, finished products like stone, timber, medicinal plant, such type of thing, which were in high demand in the Roman Empire. Coins and kings. Coins were issued by different rulers bearing names, images, which control in different parts of the world. Coins were of copper, silver, gold, differently. The punch mark coins made of silver and copper were among the earliest to be minted and used. Punch mark coins of ruling dynasties, including the Maurya, suggested that these were issued by the kings or the rich peoples. The first coin to bear the names and images of rulers were issued by the Indo-Greeks, who established the control over the northwestern parts of the subcontinent in the 2nd century BC. The first gold coin was issued by the 1st century CE by the Kushan kings. Kushan Empire, you must have heard. These were virtually identical in weight with those issued by the temporary Roman emperors. Hoards of Roman coins have been found from archaeological sites in South India. Hoards means a huge amount of coins were being collected from these sites of South India. Some of the most spectacular gold coins were issued by the Gupta rulers also. Historians are divided on different issues. Many of the historians, because at that time, what were the conditions, we do not know. So historians have their own view. Some says that with the collapse of the Western Roman Empire, long distance trade declined, affecting the prosperity of the states. Some people, they argue that the new towns and networks of trade started emerging around this time. So coins of that time were fewer, it's less. So coins continue to be mentioned in the inscription and text only. Here you can see numismatics means it is the study of the coins, including visual elements such as scripts and image, metallurgical analysis, and the contents in which they were been found. So here you can find different punchmark coins are there, which has some symbols stamped into the metal surface. Some Gupta coins are also been seen here, showing different figures. Now, how are inscriptions deciphered? Deciphered means to find out. Most of the inscriptions which are used to write modern Indian language are scripts used in most Ashokan inscriptions are derived from Brahmi. Now, from the late 18th century, European scholars aided by the Indian Pandits worked backward from the contemporary Bengali and Devanagari, the scripts used to write Hindi. Then manuscripts comparing these letters with older specimens. It was only after decades of painstaking investigation by several epigraphics that James Prinsep was able to decipher Ashokan Brahmi in 1838. Now, how Kharosthi was read? Find of coins of Indo-Greek kings who ruled over the area were facilitated matters. These coins contained the names of the king written in the Greek and Kharosthi scripts. European scholars who would read the former compared the latter, Perenspi, identifying the language of the Kharosthi inscriptions as Prakrit, it became possible to read longer inscription as well. So at that time it was very difficult for the people to understand or to decipher the different languages like Kharosthi and Brahmi. These were some of the languages which were being used at that time. So it was difficult to understand or to predict what actual was being written at that time. So there are the limitations of inscriptional evidence. Sometimes there were technical limitations. Letters are very faintly engraved and thus reconstructions are uncertain. Inscriptions may be damaged. Many times it happened that whatever things were being written, that now it has been damaged because it's from last many years it has been there. Or letters missing. Besides, it is not always easy to be sure about what the exact meaning must be written at that time in the inscriptions. So some of which may be specific to the particular place or time. So sometimes we can realize that scholars are constantly debating and discussing on this alternative ways, because at that time at what sense they must have written, that we do not know. Thousands of inscriptions have been discovered, not all have been deciphered till now, and many times translation is a big problem in front of us. So what is available at present is probably only a fraction of what was inscribed. Down you can see the copper plate inscriptions also found at Karnataka in the 6th century BC. So this was all about in this topic. Thank you.